I'm joined by Matt Money Smith, recapping the Chargers' 30-13 win over the Washington Redskins. And Matt, team's fourth win in a row, another dominating victory. What did you see out there?
Well, defense that continues to dominate, and a whole lot of Philip Rivers, and like when you look at the streak, and it's actually not just the 4 wins in a row, but it's kind of this last 8 games that we're talking about. It's less points allowed. It's no turnovers, essentially. I mean, obviously the one they had today was Kellen Clemens, so, I mean, not to diminish that, but you kind of read into that, okay, another +1 in the turnover margin for the starters in the offense today. And look, you don't turn the ball over, you sack the quarterback a lot for the other team, and you're going to win games. And it kind of is all coming together for the Chargers. And I think that was evidence today. I think the last 9 drives, the Redskins had no more. Actually, I know they did not have more than 25 yards on any of those drives. And that's just the defense shutting the door. And we're seeing an extremely elite unit now in the NFL doing a heck of a job out there.
So we've talked, and you mentioned him, but we've talked a lot about the guys around him as of late. But Philip Rivers, like you said, has been on a tear as of recently, I should say. Has not turned the ball over, but what else has he done that's really impressed you?
Just, he does what Philip does, right, which is reading the defense perfectly, a lot of adjustments at the line, and you saw a lot of safety help and a lot of bracket on Keenan. So what does he do? First play from scrimmage, there's Tyrell in single-man coverage. Second time we've seen that this season on the first play of a drive going 75 yards to Tyrell Williams. High completion percentage. The one thing we talked about that Philip's doing, and it lends you to believe, and it's something that kind of came from Nick, knowing Philip as well as he does, you can tell he trusts the defense and he trusts the kicker because he's starting to eat plays. He's starting to dirt balls if he doesn't feel like the completion's there. Whereas before he was forcing it early in the season, feeling as though perhaps he had to make all the plays in order to get this team victories. You can see he doesn't believe that anymore, especially with Travis Coons now having made his last 7 field goals in a row. He's content to take the 3 points.
Absolutely. And then lastly, big game next week against the Kansas City Chiefs. So what does this team need to do to not only keep things going, but particularly get a win at Arrowhead?
Well, I mean, one thing you saw from the Redskins defense was they were getting a pretty healthy push up the middle of that offensive line, and it was making things a little bit tougher on Philip Rivers. That defense really got after it today. Now, in defense of, I guess I would say, the offensive line of the Chargers, that Raiders O-line's been leaky all year, and that secondary has not been good all year. They fell behind early, and that put him into a lot of passing down situations. So it's hard to read too much into that, but that'd be the one thing I'd be concerned about is, has this Chiefs defensive front found its mojo, that it had in those first 5 games? Not to mention Kareem Hunt got back in the end zone. But you look at what the Chargers have been able to do. 0 100-yard receivers this season. They've controlled the run. They did it today with Samaje Perine. So that's what it'll come down to. Protect Phillip. Defensive line does their job like they have so many games this season, and that's not necessarily the most stout offensive line in the league in Kansas City. They can make life tough on Alex Smith because, look, he wants those long developing routes. He wants Tyreek Hill, streaking down the field, and when the Chargers can get away with just rushing 4, those pass plays are hard. Those routes are hard to allow to develop. So I do think it's a matchup that really does tilt, at least to the Chargers' strengths and what they've been able to do defensively as of late.
All right, we'll see what happens. Thanks, Matt.
All right, thank you, Haley.